Hello and welcome. This is a demo of how to use field parameters in Microsoft Power BI. Planning on making a few videos in this series. This first one is going to be focused mostly on how to set up your field parameters and how to use more than one set of field parameters in a single visual. So this is what the completed product looks like. I'm going to go back through and show you how to set all of this up. But what we're looking at is just a standard bar chart in Power BI that has field parameters set for the small multiples that's linked to the dimensions. And then for what it's measuring, it is also linked to a set of field parameters for the different measures in this model. So right now we're just looking at quantity and sales amount as the two measures for one field parameter. So when you click these, you'll notice it swaps out the data that's being displayed. So these are in dollar amounts. This is sales amount. And when you toggle them back and forth, it'll be displaying a totally different measure. So this is sales quantity. And you can do the same thing with the dimensions that it's showing. So the small multiples here are showing the product name, so the quantity sold by product name. And you can toggle that to different dimensions. So product subcategory, you can do it by sales territory, whatever's in your model, you can link to the field parameters. And it's really cool because it saves a lot of space. You don't have to create 12 different charts to display the 12 different things by the 12 different dimensions. And it's also just kind of nifty. So I think field parameters are awesome. I've been using them for all sorts of different things. I have a few different tricks to show you to do some cool stuff with it. So to start off, I'm going to go swap to the uncompleted file so that you can see how this was made. Alright, so here is our unconfigured file. So if I select this visual, you can see that it is showing just sales amount, nothing with the parameters by fiscal year. So to create our field parameters, those are under the modeling menu, under new parameter, fields. You can also just search in the search bar up here for parameter, new parameter, fields. And I like to call these something specific so that I know at a glance what I'm looking at. I tend to put param in front of them so that they're all sorted the same way on the right hand side over here. And then I'm going to do the dimensions first. So I'm going to do sales dimensions. And for our sales dimensions, I think we want, is it region? No, it is territory. Sales territory. So you can just check the box over here. You can drag them over either way. And we're going to do subcategory. We're going to do, what else was there? Product name. Product name. I'll start with those. You can drag, no, you can't drag to rearrange these, just kidding. Oh, maybe you can. Oh, if you very carefully drag it, you can actually rearrange them in here. But once you've created this, you don't get this, at least as of January 2023. You don't get this menu again. If you go back to edit it later, you have to edit it in DAX. But it's fine, it works fine. So what we're going to do is click create here, and I'll show you if you wanted to go back and edit something, like if you wanted to add another one of the dimensions to this list, or if you want to rename something. All you do is you come over here to your parameters and you click on it and you get the DAX here. So you can change the name of these, like I can just call this product. And you can also change the order by changing the numbers that are associated with these. So it's just going to sort by this in the list. So if I wanted this one to show up second, I could swap this one to 1 and this one to 0. And these don't have to be sequential, so you could do like 10, 20, 30, and then when you add stuff later, you don't have to rearrange every single number trying to make things fit properly. It'll also sort them alphabetically if two of them have the same number. It won't break anything to have two of them have the same sort number over here. And what it's using is this part here. So this is the actual dimension that it's going to be selecting when you are clicking the filters. So if you needed to add another one in here, what you would do is you just, at least what I do is the easy way to do it is to copy and paste one of these rows. I do Shift Enter to go down a line and then just paste it in here, and then you rename these. So you could do salesperson in here. And then you just go inside this name of parentheses and erase what's inside of there. There's my salesperson. Salesperson, full name. Alright. And you can leave these as the same number if you want to. It'll sort them alphabetically like I mentioned. So click the checkbox when you're done. If you want to, there is a way to get a no dimension. So if you want to be able to select you know, your data by a salesperson and also to not have a selection, what I've been doing to make that work is, so the only thing that you can put in these field parameters is a column from your data model or a measure. And so what I've been doing is I just create basically a blank measure that's called no dimension and put it in there, and when you use that, I guess it doesn't know what to do with it, and so it just doesn't put a dimension on there and it works fine. That's probably not the officially recommended way to do it, but I haven't found another way to make it happen. So I'll just create that now. When I create measures, I make a blank measures table and drop them all in there so that they're all in the same place. So I'm just going to create my measure in here. I'm just going to call this no dimension. Oops. And I'm just going to put double quotes in there to make it blank, essentially. And we're going to go back and put that in our field parameters list as no dimension. So I'm just going to copy this line. Oh my goodness, formatting. You know, I think I want this to be actually, it doesn't matter what order you put it in the list here, but I like to put them in the order that they're displaying so that when I come back to it later I can tell what's going on. So I'm going to actually put no dimension last, put a comma here. And I'm going to rename this to no dimension. My goodness, typing is hard. Alright, I'm going to take this comma out. And we're going to put in here that blank measure that we created. And I'm just going to go ahead and order these because I'm not going to make any people that are super particular about things being in the right order freak out. So, alright. So we've got our dimensions set up in our field parameter. I'm going to select OK there. And now we're going to drag and drop this into our visual. So this guy here, I'm going to go down to our parameters and just drag this into, we want it in the, where do we want it? Small multiples. Alright, so the first thing you'll notice is that nothing's actually selected over here. So let me select something. By default, it's not going to sort it by the amount. So you'll see it's alphabetical. So the ones that start with A are first. I don't like that because you can't really see what's going on in here. So I'm going to go ahead and sort that by sales amount. And it's going to be, we want descending. Alright, so our big categories are up top now. And when we toggle between these, you can see that it's swapping out the multiples there. And this no dimension one does in fact not show a dimension, which is what we wanted. Alright, so I like to, you can do multi-select with these, but in this particular case I don't really want to because like when you select multiple of these, it's not doing anything that I want it to be doing. So I'm going to turn that off under the slicer settings, selection, single select on. Alright, so those are our dimensions. Now we want to add in another set of field parameters for our measures. So those were quantity and sales amount. So I'm going to go ahead and search for parameter in here, add a new field parameter for sales measures. Alright, so our sales measures, I'm just going to search for them. It was sales amount and quantity. Alright, create, and it put it over there for no particular reason. Alright, so I'm just going to leave this here right now. We're going to make this a horizontal list in a minute because I think it looks nicer when you have a small number of options to do that. So first thing I want to do is I am going to actually rename this one to just quantity. So I'm going to scroll to this one here. Just call it sales quantity. And I'm actually not going to bother making this single select, and you'll see why in a minute, because we're going to actually use bookmarks to do some janky stuff here. Alright, so now we drop our, no, not our dimensions, we want our measures into the y-axis here. Alright, so you'll see it's showing both. It's because we haven't selected something here. So we want to select sales amount. And it's raining pretty hard here. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but alright, so sales amount, sales quantity, looks okay. You'll notice that when I select sales quantity, that it's going back to the other sort. So if we go and look at the sort, it's actually sorting by nothing right now. And that's because the sort on this other one was attached to the sales amount, and so when we swap to quantity, there's nothing there, so it doesn't know what to sort by. And if you can set this to sort by sales quantity, but it doesn't stick when you swap between the field parameters. I'm going to show you a way around that in a minute. So now if I switch to sales, oh my goodness, I cannot speak. If I switch to sales amount, you notice it went back to the original, so it didn't stick. It's now stuck to quantity, and we do not want that. So what we're going to do is we are going to create some bookmarks and use the selections that we have set and the sorts that we have set on the bookmarks and replace this field parameter visual with a bookmark selector. Alright, so first things first, let's get this set up the way we want it. So let's go back to sorting by sales amount, and we are going to create a bookmark. So bookmarks are in the, what menu are they in? View, bookmarks. So that popped up a new little panel over here. It looks like I forgot to delete my bookmarks from last time, so let me delete those. So these ones are already existing. Whoops, oh my goodness. Okay, delete. Back over here now. Alright. Okay, so let's create our bookmarks. We have our sales amount selected, which is what we want, and we have our sort set right, and we have, doesn't really matter what you have selected for the dimensions over here. We're just going to click add, and we're going to double click on this bookmark to rename it. So this is going to be sales amount. And I'm going to set this is a kind of a key part here, I'm going to unselect the display checkbox. You'll see why in a minute. And I am going to set this to be linked to just selected visuals. I'm going to select the visuals that I want it to be looking at when it's selected. So we're going to select this main one here, and we are going to select this one here because we want the things that we've set on the bookmark to be looking at these two visuals. So I'm going to update this with selected visuals and update. Alright, so now if we swap to sales quantity and then swap back to sales amount, everything should be fine. Good. Let's click create our second bookmark. So this is the one for quantity, so I'm going to get this all set up for quantity, sort it by sales quantity. And we're going to add a bookmark called sales quantity. And I'm actually going to put these bookmarks in a group. If I can do that, add to group, group, group. All right. Go in the group. Oh my goodness. There we go. Alphabetized. Okay. So I made these a group because we're going to create a bookmark selection in a bit, and that I want to link to groups in case I create other bookmarks later. I don't want them to be showing the wrong place. So our sales quantity, we need to do the same thing that we did for sales amount, which is uncheck this display link and set it to selected visuals, and I'm going to select these two and then update it. Alright, so now if we swap between our two bookmarks, we have the proper sort on both, which is what we want. And next what we want to do is we are going to hide this slicer. So it's still going to be functioning in the background, so when you click between the two bookmarks, it's still going to be changing these filter values, but you're not going to be able to see this filter. So we're going to be basically replacing this filter with a bookmark selector. So I'm just going to, what I like to do with these when I'm hiding them is go to the title and name it something descriptive like hidden field parameters, because when you are in the menu that hides it, it becomes not super obvious what you're looking at. So you'll see these are all like text box, text box, text box, slicer. So we want to be able to tell what this is when it's hidden because we won't be able to see it. So I'm just going to click that to hide. And so now if we go back to our bookmarks, you'll see that they are still functioning and they're using that hidden slicer to change what's being displayed here. And that's the reason that we unchecked this display option. It's because we don't want clicking between the bookmarks to unhide that slicer. Alright, just to clean this up, I'm going to rename this header here to by ... I'm going to move these over a little bit because I feel like they don't have enough space. Alright, and now we are going to insert our bookmarks, which are under the buttons menu, which is kind of funny, and we are going to do a bookmark navigator. Alright, so those drop some really big buttons in here. We're going to make these smaller. And oh my goodness, okay. And align them a little bit. I don't really love the way these look. You can play with the settings to make them look nicer. So like for instance, it's under style here. What do we want? Fill. So we want the state, and the hover state being gray is not great, so I'm going to change that to maybe this color. Make it so we can read the text maybe, so set the font to white. I like it to be semi-bold. And for the defaults, I should probably make the default semi-bold now that I've changed that other one. Alright, that looks better. Okay. I'm just going to resize this to fit. I still need more space here, don't I? Move these over again. Okay. Alright, so now if we try these out, we are still properly swapping between quantity, sales amount, and our dimensions still work. And you'll notice that changing the measure isn't resetting the dimension over here, which is what we want. So that's why we didn't select that one when we created the bookmarks, is because we want that to stay set to whatever somebody has selected when they do that. All right, so we've got our two field parameter tables created. We've got our measures and our dimensions, and they are linked to this visual, and they're properly sorted using bookmarks. If you're curious what these look like on the other end, you can actually go to this data tab and look at the table. So it's basically just a calculated table that it's making out of the stacks here. And you'll notice that these are just comma separated things here. So you can actually add more things to your table if you want to. So that's what the next video topic in this series is going to be about, is ideas of things you can add to your field parameters to make them more functional. So if that sounds interesting to you, please feel free to subscribe to check out that next video when it comes out. Thank you, and have a great day.